Here we are again with another episode of Mommy Speaks Canto and Mando, 妈咪讲广东话和普通话,
where you learn how to casually chat in Canto and Mando as they're related to health, medical, and whatever else matters.
These videos reinforce the lessons from the podcast Cantonese and Mandarin for Medical Matters and More. If you're interested in hearing the podcast, the link is in the information area below.
Today's episode is the continuation of dialogues in our current world of COVID-19. But let's first recap the last line from the previous episode.
唉，如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。唉，如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。If I don't get vaccinated, I think I gotta cancel my upcoming physical therapy.
So, what could follow that?
It's just that if I don't do physical therapy, my pressure ulcer will get worse. Then my foot gets amputated. I'll be in pain. I'll need to take pain pills. I'll be addicted to pain pills. Then I either die from an OD or have a nervous breakdown. Then, 只不過如果唔做物理治療，我肉瘡會惡化，其後腳要截肢，我會有痛，我會要食止痛藥。我會對呢啲止痛藥上癮，咁我一係就死於藥物過量，一係就精神崩潰，然後只不過如果不做物理治療，我褥瘡會惡化，其後腳要截肢，我會有痛，我會要吃止痛藥。我會對這些止痛藥上癮，那我要麼死於藥物過量，要麼精神崩潰，然後
Jeez, why are you talking about all that? Get a grip. 我呸，你點解無端端講呢啲啊？你冷靜啲啦。我呸，你幹嘛好斷斷說這些呀？你冷靜吧。
So, let's look at some new words.
褥瘡 褥瘡 is a pressure ulcer, decubitus ulcer, pressure sore, bed sore. And what's kind of interesting is on the Canto side is that if you didn't see the actual Chinese characters, you might assume that first root component, yok, is the yok character that means meat or flesh, like ngao yok for beef. And that would seem to make sense, since ulcers eat away at the meat or flesh in the body to expose bone in its latter stages. Staying with this meat, flesh, yok character, let's switch gears and look into the culinary world. Now I know there's vegans, 纯素食者, 纯素食者 out there, but they're way outnumbered by those of the carnivorous 食肉, 食肉 persuasion, so you'll see lots of meat, 肉 items in restaurants. And like if somebody's not feeling well, many cultures, not just Asian, resort to some form of porridge. So in a Chinese restaurant, you might order 皮蛋瘦肉粥. 皮蛋瘦肉粥. This Canto yok in 皮蛋瘦肉粥 sounds exactly the same as the yok in yok chong, where that yok character, obviously a different Chinese character, means mattress. So you can find this mattress yok character in something like the Ripple mattress. 交替氣墊 yok 交替气垫入 that literally means alternate. 交替交替 air cushion. 黑枕气垫 mattress. 浴入 and 交替黑枕浴交替气垫入 is like a big bubble wrap, but think industrial grade type of plastic pad with fist-size bubble cells, alternately filled with air, helping to prevent pressure sores. 褥瘡褥瘡 So you can say 交替氣墊褥交替氣墊褥 helps prevent 褥瘡褥瘡 That is to say 交替氣墊褥可以防治褥瘡交替氣墊褥可以防止褥瘡 A ripple mattress can prevent pressure ulcers. 交替氣墊褥可以防治褥瘡交替氣墊褥可以防止褥瘡 Now, the second root component of 褥瘡褥瘡 the chong means tumor, boil, sore, wound, which you can imagine is a word that could be used in a lot of health and medical words, and it is, in recognizable words that you typically don't want to talk about, like hemorrhoids, 痔瘡 痔疮 Again, hemorrhoids is 痔瘡痔瘡 or acne,瘡 暗瘡 Acne is 瘡 暗瘡 or lupus 膿瘡 狼瘡 or the more common form of lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus 紅斑狼瘡紅斑狼瘡 Again, the general term for lupus 狼瘡 狼瘡 Systemic lupus erythematosus 紅斑狼瘡紅斑狼瘡 So break down 褥瘡褥瘡 into its two root components and we get mattress 褥褥 and tumor, boil, sore, wound 瘡 which makes sense in the combo 褥瘡褥瘡 since in many cases pressure sores do come from the patient staying in one position on the mattress for too long, ergo the term bed sore, aka pressure sore, pressure ulcer, 褥瘡褥瘡 Let's hear how 褥瘡褥瘡 sounds like in the dialogue fragment.
我褥瘡會惡化，我褥瘡會惡化。My pressure ulcer will get worse.
Clearly, 惡化,惡化 means to worsen. It's so nice when the root components really support their combined compound word meanings. The first root component of 惡化,惡化, the 惡 part means evil, fierce, vicious, ugly, coarse, or to harm. So yeah, you can imagine this is a useful word, not just in the healthcare industry. For those of the non-Luddite persuasion, which is probably you since you aren't adverse to modern technology, by being online watching this video, of course you'd rather not deal with malware. 惡意轉見惡意染見 The 惡意 meaning evil intention and 軟件軟件 means computer software or 惡意代碼惡意代碼 The 代碼 means computer code. So again, malware is 惡意轉見惡意軟件 or 惡意代碼惡意代碼 because otherwise that would be a nightmare. 噩夢 literally evil dream. Nightmare again is 噩梦, 噩梦. But if we're just talking healthcare, then it's good to know if a tumor is malignant, 恶性, 恶性, or benign, 良性, 良性. 恶性, 恶性, malignant, 良性, 良性, benign. Let's look at the second root component of 恶化, 恶化, the 化. That means to transform, change into, make into. So you'll see it in words like chemistry, 化学, 化学. Because isn't chemistry not just about memorizing the periodic table, but to witness how different chemicals react, that is, transform with one another? 化学, 化学, chemistry. And culture or civilization, 文化, 文化, is an ever-changing construct, isn't it? 文化, 文化, culture, civilization. And when you put on makeup, cosmetics, 化妆本, 化妆品, you're changing your appearance. 化妆本, 化妆品, cosmetics. But back to healthcare. When you convert food into an absorbable form in order for the body to reap the benefits of said food's nutrients, then you're talking about digestion, 消化, 消化 of said food. Digestion, 消化, 消化. Okay, so now let's hear how 恶化, 恶化 sounds like in the dialogue fragment.
我褥瘡會惡化，我褥瘡會惡化。My pressure ulcer will get worse.
So we just have the itty-bitty little bit of a fragment left in that sentence.
Then my foot gets amputated. 其後腳要截肢，其後腳要截肢。
And the new words are at the beginning of this fragment. 其後, 其後, meaning after that, next, later. And at the end of the fragment. 截肢, 截肢, meaning to amputate. In order to rationalize the root components for the new word 其後, 其後, that means after that, next, later, let's first look at 其後, 其後's latter root component, 後, 後. You might think that the various meanings of 後, 後, that is, rear, after, queen, empress, sovereign, that maybe it's the meanings of rear and after that makes sense in its contribution to the after that, next, later meanings of 其後, 其後. You'd be right to think that. However, the other meanings, queen, empress, and sovereign, can help with remembering 其後, 其後's meanings also. Think of the formal wear that these folks wear. What comes to mind are the royal weddings where the royal brides, well, and of course some non-blue blood brides as well. Say that fast. Non-blue blood brides. Say that fast 5 times. 1 time even, for God's sakes. Well, any case, in these weddings, they wear exaggerated, long trains that trail behind in the rear of said royal personages. So this habit of royals, like a queen or empress, or non-royals, wearing long bridal trains in the rear, 好, 后, may help you remember 其後, 其後's combo meaning of after that, next, and later. Okay, now let's look at the first root component, the K, qi of K hao, qi hou. K, qi means his, her, its, their, that. But let's focus on the K, qi's that meaning. So as to say that of hao, hou's after meaning, begetting K hao, qi hou's transposed after that meaning. Now let's look at the new word at the end of the fragment.
Then my foot gets amputated. K hao yu ji ji. 其后脚要截肢.
The 几肌 截肢 has the meaning of amputate, easily derived from its root components 几 jie, meaning to cut, sever, or truncate, and 肌 zhi, that is defined as the limbs of a human, legs of an animal, wings or feet of a bird. If we're talking amputation, 几肌截肢, we might as well talk about prosthetics, 以肌义肢. You can see here that the second root component in 几肌截肢 and 以肌义肢 is the same. Makes sense since 几肌截肢 is literally to sever a limb, that is to amputate. So you can guess that 以肌义肢 is literally an artificial limb, a prosthetic. So you might hear something like 几肌肌好为安装以肌截肢之后会安装义肢. After amputation, a prosthetic will be fitted. 几肌肌好为安装以肌截肢之后会安装义肢. Now, even though in the compound word for prosthetics, 以肌义肢 以肌义肢, the first root component, 以 has the meaning of artificial here, but this same root component, 以 has other meanings. One in particular that is popularly used is when yi is one of the root components for the compound word 意义. That means meaning. So in the context for 意义, its latter root component 意 has the meaning of meaning. For those of you who already know some Chinese, you might say, wait a minute, isn't 意思the word for meaning? Like you might hear someone say 咩意思啥意思, which literally means what meaning? That is to say, what do you mean? Or what's the meaning of this? Like if a doctor was telling a patient that he, she, they needed to undergo amputation surgery, then the doctor might say 你要做截肢手術你要做截肢手術 Then the patient might respond with 你咩意思你啥意思 Now this is a rhetorical question on the part of the patient. Instead of asking, what do you mean? There's a subtext of, you can't mean what you're saying, kind of denial going on here. It's more in the vein of, I can't believe you said that. Or, 你咩意思你啥意思 can be interpreted as a, what are you trying to say? Which is yes, the kind of want further additional information type of question, but one that still smacks of disbelief at what was just said, that can be left unanswered because obviously the information just needs to sink in. Or the doctor needs to paraphrase what was just said, massage it in a way to try to make it more palatable to the patient. But what if yi was used instead of yi si? Then you'd have 咩意义, 啥意义, which again literally means what meaning, but is actually more along the lines of what's the meaning? What's the meaning in this? Like, what's the point in all this? What's the point? Like, if someone just had their leg amputated and just received, like maybe on the same day of the surgery, noticed that they were accepted into the Olympics, like say in the marathon category, then that athlete's response might be 咩意义? 啥意义? What's the point? Of course, there are athletes with prosthetics who compete in the Olympics, but with a newly fitted prosthetic, the athlete would need more time to retrain under their new conditions. And it's not unimaginable that the initial response would be the somewhat dejected rhetorical question, 咩意义? 啥意义? What's the point? So yeah, 意义 and 意思 may both have the meaning of meaning, but their meanings of meaning are slightly different in meaning. And if you look at the other meanings for these words, then the differences in meanings may make more sense. 意义's various meanings are meaning, sense, significance, importance. So that makes 咩意义? 啥意义's meanings of what's the point seem somewhat understandable. Now, 意思's meanings are so varied. For instance, meaning, idea, opinion, wish, desire, interest, fun, token of appreciation, affection, to give as a small token, to do something as a gesture of goodwill. So, with all these meanings, really all you can do is rule out that it wouldn't mean just what's the point, like 咩意义? 啥意义 means. However, 咩意思? 啥意思? can almost come close to this what's the point kind of meaning. Like if you heard 我生死有咩意义啊? 我生死有啥意义啊? Which you can translate as what's the point of my living or dying? Now, compare that with 我生死有咩意思啊? 我生死有啥意思呀? Now, you can say that also means what's the point of my living or dying? Just like 我生死有咩意义啊? 我生死有啥意义啊? But here, I would posit that this 意义 sentence, 我生死有咩意义? 我生死有啥意义? The person saying this has already given up hope. There's like no meaning in life. Well, life or death. So its interpretation is, what's the point? 我生死有咩意义? 我生死有啥意义? What's the point in living or dying? Whereas in 意思, in that sentence, 我生死有咩意思? 我生死有啥意思? Here, there seems to be an ever so slight notion that the person saying this may be open to further understanding what more there may be to life, what life has to offer, so she, he, they may go on living. So the question may take the form of, is there some meaning to life that makes it worth living for me? 我生死有咩意思？我生死有啥意思？ We should also mention that the yi, the first root component of the yi, and yis, also has as one of its meanings. You want to take a guess? That's right. Yi has the meaning of meaning, along with its other meanings of idea, thought, to wish, desire, intention, to expect, anticipate, opinion. We've heard yi before in podcast episode 25, using the public restroom, part A, in the fragment, if you've really been paying attention. 如果你真正有注意嘅話，如果你真正有注意的話，如果你真正有注意嘅話，如果你真正有注意的話。In the podcast, we didn't really go into yi in too much detail, because if you think the videos here are long, some of the podcasts, the ones right before these videos came to be, were mad long. So I didn't spend copious amounts of time dissecting the words, so yi was only heard in that fragment as part of the compound word 注意, which means to pay attention to something, 注意. And really it makes sense when you look at its root components, because 注 in this context means to concentrate or focus. And when we pair it with the to expect, anticipate meanings of yi, then we have the concentrating or focusing on what to expect, anticipate, which is like paying attention to something, right? That's your 注意. Well, we went off the deep end on the tangent that started with 几节制 from the fragment
其後腳要截肢，其後腳要截肢。Then my foot gets amputated.
Let's rein ourselves in and recap the whole sentence that we've gone over the new words for.
只不過如果唔做物理治療，我肉瘡會惡化，其後腳要截肢。
只不過如果不做物理治療，我褥瘡會惡化，其後腳要截肢。
So I've had one viewer tell me she can't finish these videos all in one sitting because there's too much information. So I'm going to stop here and continue with the rest of the dialogue in another video. Alrighty then. 大家保持身體健康，大家保持身體健康，下次再見，下次再見。